Hi, my name is Jerry Nichols, and I joined the Navy after graduating from high school. I enlisted as an electrician and had to take electrical classes before going to the fleet. I was stationed on board the USS Vulcan, which I was an electrician. We made repairs on ships during deployments throughout the world. Veterans Day means honoring those who served and made the ultimate sacrifices for our freedoms.
What does Veterans Day mean to you?
It means we take a second to reflect on, everyone who's ever fought and done something to make sure that, little girls like you get to do fun projects like this every day.
How does it feel to be a member of the military?
A lot of brothers, a lot more brothers, just like I had back at home. Lots of younger brothers, older brothers. They all get on my nerves all the time, just like you all do. But I get to go out and see some cool things, I've been to Okinawa, I've been to the Philippines, we've been to Korea. It's pretty cool.
So, what branch of the military do you currently serve in?
I am in the Air Force. So normally I'm in the New York Air National Guard, but what happens is they activate us and we fall under the Air Force.
So what does it mean to be a veteran or currently serve? How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about it?
Yeah.
I'm glad I can be here. I did it for the boys is a big reason I did it because it's going to help them when they go to college, that I'm going to be able to pay some of their tuition, or actually the Air Force is going to pay some of their tuition if and when they decide to go to school.
What's your favorite part about being in the Air Force?
My favorite part is we get to fly, and I get to fly on different airplanes. So I get to fly on C-130s, which are cargo planes, which have 4 engines and props. They're kind of loud, but they can land on short runways and take off on short runways. And we get to fly on C-17s, which are jets, big jets, that they can put helicopters in and Jeeps and trucks in. And then the other plane we get to fly on is what's called a KC-135. It's a refueler. So they're the jets that you see that refuel the fighters in air. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. What does Veterans Day mean to you?
I didn't hear what you said, Cubby. Repeat.
What does Veterans Day mean to you?
So Veterans Day is a time that we take and we thank all of the people that served before us. We thank them for what they did, for what they gave us, the ability to make our own choices, to decide where we want to go, what we want to do, what we want to wear to school every day, or what we want to have for lunch. All those freedoms that sometimes we take for granted, some people take for granted.
What's the hardest part about being in the Air Force?
Did you hear him?
Hardest part about being... I think you said, what's the hardest part about being deployed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what he said. Shake your head.
Yeah.
Hardest part right now is probably not being home. I've missed a lot of things the boys are doing. Gonna miss Thanksgiving and Christmas. But we'll get to do it all when I come home later.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you, bud?
Good.
Doing good.
What does Veterans Day mean to you?
Veterans Day is the day that I get to give thanks to the people who I have the privilege to be able to thank, the people who are still here for their service, because it's a very selfless act to sign up to protect the nation.
What would you like to say to a current veteran?
Thank you. Thank you to all the current veterans. Because of people like you, I get the ability to continue my career and help out the United States.
What is life like in the military?
It's very strict at times. There's always somebody who's your boss, but basically you work together to accomplish any task that is given to you. It's exciting. It's very exciting. But at the same time, there's times where it's very boring. It's something that I miss when I'm away from it, but when I'm in it, I love it.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, buddy.
So, Mom, what did you do in the Air Force?
I was security forces, which was kind of like military police for the Air Force. We drove patrol cars and wrote tickets on base, and I was also a desk sergeant, so I sent patrols out to respond to emergencies on base. And we also did in-flight emergencies, so we sent patrols out whenever there was like a C-130 coming in with an emergency. And we also responded to alarms that would go off at the U.S. Space Command headquarters and NORAD. So we did that, and we also did deployments to Saudi Arabia. I went once to Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia, and another time to Escom Village. And there we did all kinds of things like explosive detection at the gates and patrols in the desert. So it was a great experience. I met a lot of wonderful people, and it's something that I would do again in a heartbeat.
How does it feel to be a veteran of the military?
Very honorable. I'm very honored to be in the military and then serve my country and my community. I also, being that I'm in the Air National Guard, which is the Air Force branch, I'm able to do more for the state of New York and then like hurricane relief efforts. So, yeah.
What does Veterans Day mean to you?
Veterans Day is, oh,
Oh yeah, yeah.
so what does Veterans Day mean to me? I don't look at it as, I know I'm active duty, I'm in the military, but for myself, I look at people that have come before me, the World War II vets, the Korean War vets, all the elders, you know, so I try to seek them out and do something good for them on this day and, you know, and every day, actually. Yeah.
What are your emotions on Veterans Day?
What are my emotions on Veterans Day? Well, you can see it maybe now. I'm flushed, you know, as in it's an emotional time for anyone in the military, just because, you know, it's nice to have people come up to you and say, you know, Happy Veterans Day, and that's nice. It's great to be able to sit here and talk with you, you know, and get these questions. So that's my emotion of just being able to meet you guys and get to talk, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't Veterans Day. You know?
What are your branch of the military? Where are you part of?
Okay, so I'm in the Air Force, and I'm in the New York Air National Guard. So it's down near Schenectady, New York, and then that's where my base is. And then it's a branch of the Air Force.
What plane do you fly?
I'm not a pilot. I'm a load master. So we have a crew that has to fly on the plane for it to fly. And so the load master is in the back of the aircraft doing the onloading, offloading, weight and balance. It's kind of like when you're on a teeter-totter. You know, you want to keep the plane level. So if you have too much weight in the back, then it's not going to fly well. Same with the front. So think of it as a teeter-totter. When you look up in the sky, somebody loaded that plane so that it's level. So that's what I do. Yep, level and safe to fly.
Because if the back was down too far, then you would have to let your plane, make it dive.
Correct.
It's not going to dive. You
Yeah.
have to cut this all the time.
Right, and that's not safe or efficient. So, yeah.
How did you feel during your time of service?
How do I feel? Honored. I mean, I say that a lot, honored, but it's very true because there's so many people that have come before me that have paid the ultimate sacrifice for us to have freedom, to be able to enjoy all the benefits of this great country. So I'm very honored to be part of that legacy.
What does Veterans Day mean to you?
Veterans Day to me is a day of sadness and great pride. I look forward to it, and I'm sad also for what it represents.
What branch of military are you in?
I was with the United States Marine Corps.
How do you feel about being a veteran or?
I am a veteran of Vietnam, and I feel very proud that I served my country. I was a lucky one to come back, and we're all very glad about that.
Thank you, Papa, for for doing
You're
this.
welcome.
But why did you want to go in the Navy?
Well, I did 2 years of college after high school, but I wasn't really doing as well as I should have been in college, I'll say. So I went and I actually talked to the Army recruiter first, and I almost joined the Army. But then when I talked to the Navy recruiter, the Navy had a really interesting program that I wanted to join up. And so I joined the Navy to operate nuclear-powered submarines. So that's what I did in the Navy.
So were you a pilot or a co-pilot?
No, I worked in the engine room of the submarine. So I operated all the mechanical equipment in the engine room that keeps the electricity on and keeps the propeller turning and all that kind of stuff. So.
Do you have to be quiet?
Yes, you do have to be quiet because submarines, one of their really important features of the way you stay stealthy on a submarine is you have to be quiet, because that's how submarines detect each other, is through sonar. So if you make any big noises, and especially if you drop tools or something against the hull, that noise will get transmitted out into the ocean, and then another enemy submarine could detect.
I was calling to ask you what you think Veterans Day means to you.
Oh, wow, that's a good question. I think that, Veterans Day, to me, is a day for me to spend some time thinking about all my friends that are still active duty, in the Army, serving all over the world, protecting us. And just put a little bit of time away in order to be thankful that there are people that are still doing that are keeping us safe.
What branch were you in?
In the Army Special Forces.
How long were you in the branch?
4 years at West Point, which is basically, they call it the United States Military Academy. It's the Army University. And then 12 years active duty.
What wars did you serve in?
In Desert Shield and Desert Storm, the Gulf War, the first war in the Persian Gulf.
What rank were you into?
Captain.
Okay.
Why did you work in the submarine instead of the Army?
Well, the Navy offered me more money. That was one reason. And it was just the Navy sounded more interesting to me because I got to operate a nuclear power plant and be stationed on a submarine. I got to see lots of really cool places.
to lots of cool places.
Do you learn to be a military person?
Yeah, well, they have special training to be in the military. You have to sign up for it, okay? And then you go to a different state, and then you get trained for a specific task that you're going to be doing in the military. And during the whole time that you are in the military, that's the job that you have until you get out. And you can do 4 years, 8 years, 16, or you can stay there until you retire.
Veterans Day is the day that I get to thank the men and women that I still have the privilege to thank, who are still here with us, who decided to protect and defend our Constitution and protect the United States of America.
It was a little challenging, I think, especially from the mom point of view too. That my kids really missed their dad, and not knowing where he was or what he was doing was definitely hard.
What did I have to do?
What were the RTD doing for the mission?
Well, submarines do all kinds of different missions. Sometimes we do missions where we're just collecting information from collecting intelligence from other countries.
What are some of the unique places that you served?
Unique places I've served. I think the most unique out of pretty much any being in the Air Force, our plane is unique in itself. It's a large. It's called an LC-130. So it's a cargo plane with skis on it. So we actually land on ice and snow. So that's no other plane in the Air Force or pretty much in the world lands on that environment with it's a big cargo plane with skis. So like when it's summertime here, I'm in Greenland. So it's June here, people are out on the boat, and I'm up in Greenland on a snowmobile. So it's kind of neat, to share that. And then when it's wintertime here, then we're down in Antarctica. So I'm going to spend Christmas and New Year's this year down in Antarctica, deployed for 2 months. So I would say that's the two of the most extreme locations. I mean, I've been to so many countries in the world, and just like New Zealand is so beautiful, and Australia, and Iceland, and Turkey, and so there's so many places in the world to travel that the military, it's a lot of fun, and it's a great job. And I'm here locally too, because I live here in Lake George, graduated from Lake George, and I still get to go and travel, and when I get done with my deployment, I'll come home to Lake George. So, and hopefully the Winter Carnival will be going on. So,
In the military, did you
I was in the Navy Seabees.
How does it feel part of the military?
How does it feel to be what?
Part of the military.
Good. You feel good.
I'm Dick Bacon. I served with the 1st Squadron, 1st Armored Cavalry Regiment in Vietnam from 1967 to 1968 in the I Corps, Northern Vietnam. We did search and destroy missions, public relations. We were in 4 major battles. We did our job, and when tour was over, we all came home and tried to adjust to civilian life again.
Are you currently in the military or a veteran?
I'm a veteran. I was in the Navy. I retired after 21 years in the Navy.
What does it mean to you for being a veteran?
What does it mean to me to be a veteran? It makes me proud that I had a chance to serve my country, that help defend freedom and democracy.
Do you have any other ancestors that have fought in the war or any wars?
My father was in the Navy during Vietnam, and my grandfather fought in the Korean War.
But yes, I am a veteran. I served in the United States Marine Corps for 4 years. I served my country here in the United States and overseas. We helped people in the Mediterranean, did lots of different exercises and missions to help other countries rebuild after disasters. I worked in Central America, and I was also able to go to Okinawa, Japan, and work overseas and help the Okinawan people. When I got out of the Marines, I went to college, and I ended up getting a degree in forestry, and then I went up to Plattsburgh and became a teacher, and I've been here ever since. A few years ago, I joined the Army National Guard, and I worked for a year serving the state of New York. And that was really interesting because we got to help hurricane victims down in Long Island when Hurricane Sandy hit. So Veterans Day to me is all about service, serving the United States and also serving other countries.